Welcome back to States and Kingdoms. Today we're talking about Captain Beefheart and his Magic Band's first album, Safe as Milk, from 1967. What do you think, Sean?
A lot of the albums that I got into, that we've talked about, we always mention how, we go back to the first record, we listen to things in chronological order. We were kind of raised that way for some reason. It's like the one sort of anal retentive sort of thing that we stick to.
It's very important.
Not in this case. When I was...
Rule breaker.
Yeah, I remember I got a load of CDs for one Christmas. It was like Christmas of 2001.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah, I do. I do want to talk about it.
You were 3 years old and you got a lot of CDs.
I got a lot of stuff. Anyway, and Trout Mask Replica was one of the albums that I got. I don't remember exactly why that album. I must have come across it. You know where I probably came across that? It was probably because the White Stripes were a thing, and they did do a Captain Beefheart cover, and it was probably that. So I got the album that was on.
Yeah, clever boy.
And really, it's kind of funny because I got a bunch of weird albums that year because I was really going online and just listening to, because you could download everything, and I was actually finding a lot of new stuff. And putting on Trout Mask Replica, I would love to go back and watch my reaction to that, because there's it reminds me, I was just thinking about this before, of when a couple of years earlier than that, I was reading a lot. I had a whole list of books that I was reading, and I read Sid Arthur in like an afternoon, and I was so proud of myself. I felt like I was a genius. Mm-hmm. And the next book that I was going to read was The Ticket That Exploded. And like 45 minutes later, I was in a fetal position in the corner. And it was sort of something similar with Trout Mask Replica. I mean, it was like, That
was quite an analogy.
What? You're trying to grab hold of things in the song, and it's just, it's fascinating. I do love that album. I think it is a masterpiece. But when I heard this, I really connected with this album because, of course, there are some elements, there are hints of that direction, of what Captain Beefheart's going to do, but it's a lot more straightforward, and
song.
I found it so enjoyable, still wonderfully interesting, and if it weren't for the somewhat insane things that were to come, this album is fairly experimental in its own right, and I just connected with it immediately. It also reminds me of the scene in High Fidelity, because this is the album that they won't sell to that guy.
Oh, yeah.
And
it keeps coming back like today.
That might have been the first time I saw this album. So I don't know. I don't remember exactly how that all worked out, but...
yeah, that is funny.
You guys are snobs.
Yeah, I mostly heard this through you. I all the way heard this through you.
Yeah, I played it a lot at times. And it's sort of interesting. This is why I put this on. I was listening to this, and why we're talking about it now in front of the camera and tens of people.
I got a little more interested in Captain Beefheart after I'd already been very into XTC. And for years and years, it was like a thing. And you hadn't listened to XTC that seriously early on when I was starting to get into them. You got into XTC a little later. XT. That's what a fan calls them. Oh. You got into XTC a little later, which is fine. Mm-hmm. It's fine.
Yeah.
But when we started really talking about it and you started listening, it was always trying to figure out, where did this sound come from for Andy? What are the origins for XTC? And listening to Captain Beefheart more and really hearing how that was so influential on Andy, you really hear it. My point is, you can really hear it in XTC.
Yes. Well, that is a complicated subject, because Andy's...
We don't have to talk about it.
Influence, he has a number of influences, and he synthesized them all very interestingly.
Yes.
Of course, one of the things on this album is Ry Cooder. The two guitars, we've talked about this, I love two guitar players, in a band, and, when it's done as well as this, it's something just so exciting.
It adds so much interest, so much fun, the layering.
and you know, kind of playing against each other, and it's one of the best. It's to me, I mean, it's just one of the great guitar albums. There's so much on it that's interesting, and they really are, you know, front and center in every song.
Often we'll have a record that we're listening to or talking about, you know, and your criticism for it often is the guitar. There should be more guitar.
Sometimes,
or
happens.
the guitar should just be more front and center.
Can happen.
I mean, you know, you like hearing.
Yeah.
You like the guitar.
The whole band is phenomenal here. I mean, of course, you know, John French on drums, which is a staple, and you know, he's absolutely phenomenal. The drumming on this is awesome. The bass is awesome. The whole band, they're tight.
They're really in the groove.
No, it's really
they're in the pocket.
I mean, I can imagine here. They're in the pocket.
I haven't said that in a long time.
Yeah, in the pocket.
They're in the pocket. Yeah, hell yeah.
What Captain Beefheart's influence, and the influence of this album and the next 2 albums, but you know, whatever. But it's hard to say because I feel like it's extremely wide. I mean, obviously, any sort of non-orthodox
of the more
band
avant-garde
in the 70s and early 80s could be traced back partly to this, and there are a couple of other things, of course.
It's bluesy. Obviously, it's like very blues-based, and his voice is extremely bluesy, but mixed with like the atonal stuff and the weird percussion, like, you know, like the 6 time signatures.
Even on this album, because I'm talking about this album, but we're kind of including some other things.
But like, you know, all the different things that are happening all together. It's a very interesting mix that you don't really come across that often.
Yeah, even John Lennon listened to it.
He had a sticker.
It's true.
It's also interesting, you know, when you have a lead singer whose voice is so distinctive, and maybe, you know, upon first listen, you might think it's almost too gruff, or it's not even like something. It's not like a soft, pleasant type of voice. It's like a really unique, interesting, singular type of voice.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like a very specific style. But it's interesting, like in a case like that, where like the vocals really don't take over. You know what I mean? It's all really like.
I know. I think I know what you mean. Because the guitars are such a main part of the song, and you know, the whole band is really playing. They can each take part of the melody. They can each take part. You know, there isn't. Their lines aren't as clearly defined as in like a typical rock band or you know, blues band. So yeah, I mean it's not being completely dominated by just the vocal, because everything else is also, you know, of like
right, and each exactly. So each part takes a turn in the song,
or all at the same time.
But you have to actually each doing a little thing. So like the melody isn't always coming from the vocal, or you know, like it's all kind of it's very interesting.
The cover of "I've Grown So Ugly," you know. Grown So Ugly on this. What they do with that song is fascinating. You know, the original is, I mean, relatively straightforward. Blues song. Acoustic blues song. And how they soup it up and, you know, make it so dynamic, and really it's really very cool impressive. Song. I really love every song on this. The only song, I mean, "Call on Me" and "I'm Glad" have more of a mid-60s, early 60s kind of a sound.
I love "Call on Me."
Even there, though, there are, you know, little touches that set
the little break where the guitar comes in and does this little like plucky thing. That's very cool.
I mean, obviously, "Electricity" is stunning. "Abba Zaba" is one of the catchiest songs, and I always loved "Autumn's Child" as an ending. It's a great song. The whole thing just holds together perfectly. It's you know, the style is completely there.
Yeah, it's a great debut. I mean, even just to say like as a first album, like holy moly.
It'll be interesting to talk about some of the later albums, because I don't know how we're gonna do that, but we could try. It should be funny.
We use a lot of silly words and a lot of hand gestures. Thank you so much for watching our brief discussion of Safe as Milk. Let us know what you think of this album in the comments. Please like this video and subscribe to Tasting Kingdoms if you're not already subscribed. And we'll see you next time.